Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Pro Wrestling Talk, hosted by yours truly on the U to the Tube. So today, going to talk a little bit of Stardom, a little bit of New Japan Pro Wrestling, um, a decent bit of WWE, and AEW for the main event, since we got Double or Nothing tomorrow night with an exciting card. Looking forward to diving into that. But let's get started. So, a couple of shows went down in Stardom. Not no title matches or anything like that. But a certain somebody had a birthday recently. So happy birthday to Donna Del Mundo's Jumbo Princess Himeka, who recently turned 24. So happy birthday to you. They also posted some information about some upcoming shows for June 5th and June 6th. And I noticed that Saki Kashima is going to be returning. So she'll be involved in these shows. Like, for example, she's going to be in a three-way match against Mina Shirakawa and Maika. This is the June 5th show in Joetsu Nigata. And she's also going to be in the June 6th show in Kanazawa as well. She's going to be in a trios match. Her, Konami, and Natsuko Tora of Oedo Tai taking on the Cosmic Angels. So it's good to see her returning. And not only that, Koguma will be making her big return into the ring for Stardom in a three-way match, as she'll be taking on both Natsuko Tora and Azumi. That's the June 6th show in Kanazawa. So, this is pretty cool. Got some shows to look forward to. Got a big return for Koguma and Saki Kashima. So, definitely looking forward to checking those out. And, as it gets closer and closer to the Cinderella tournament, which, if I remember correctly, will be June 19th. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But of course, we have our final four in Himeka, Maika, Sayaka Kamatani, and Unagi Sayaka. So those are our final four for the Cinderella tournament, just to reiterate. But, and it was cool that in the recent May 23rd show, they did a tribute. They did a special memorial service, a moment of silence for the late Hana Kimura that passed away. And I just really like what they did. And as a matter of fact, there was actually a lot of different shows that took the time, whether it was a specific wrestler or a specific group, that have taken the time to honor Hana Kimura, whether it's from a quote, merchandise, or just doing certain moves, things like that. I thought it was really cool. Was seeing all sorts of different stuff on Twitter about it. But definitely we lost a beautiful, beautiful soul in Hana Kimura. And it hurts. She died young. So definitely kudos to everybody that paid tributes to Hana Kimura. She will definitely be missed. So a little bit of New Japan Pro Wrestling talk. It was announced that the Dominion show for Osaka Joe Hall actually got postponed to June 7th. So that'll be on a Monday. They're going to have that on June 7th on a Monday. So just a slight delay, but not too bad. Not only that, there's going to be some title defenses on the way as well, even during the road to Dominion. They're going to have they're going to have the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles on the line, as Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi the Dangerous Techers get another crack at the Gorillas of Destiny, the current champions. This will be their third title defense. So we got that on the road to Dominion. That'll be Tuesday, June 1st. And then Wednesday, June 2nd, the Never Openweight 6-man tag titles are going to be on the line. I feel like those titles haven't been defended in a long while. But this will be the 5th defense for the champions Yoshihashi, Tomohiro Ishii, and Hiroki Goto, defending against LIJ's Bushi, Sanada, and Tetsuya Naito. So that should be a good, entertaining match. Looking forward to that. And it looks like, announced for Dominion, it looks like we're going to have Kazuchika Okada versus Shingo Takagi to decide who wins the vacant IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So that should be really good. And they also have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship on the line, as El Desperado will make his first defense against one half of Roppongi 3K, Yo. So this should be good. Should be good. They still don't have a lot of they still have to fill out the rest of the card on the website, but quite a bit to look forward to with Dominion coming up. Not only that, Filthy Tom Lawler made his first and successful defense of the NJPW Strong Openweight Championship, as he was able to defeat Chris Dickinson in a very, very hard-fought match. It was back and forth, hard-hitting, and I definitely was digging this match. Two brawlers, very heavy-hitting, and it was back and forth. Really enjoyed that match. I also enjoyed the match between Wheeler Yuta and El Fantasma. Thought that was a really good match as well. But it looks like maybe they're going to build up Carl Fredericks to potentially be the next challenger for the Strong Openweight Championship. And it was also shown that Clark Connors is a recent graduate of the NJPW LA dojo. So I noticed that he had on slightly different gear from what the Young Lions wear. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, New Japan Pro Wrestling's gonna be quite busy as Dominion approaches. Should be fun though. And speaking of New Japan Pro Wrestling, so big news came up, which this is still kind of up in the air. But apparently, the WWE president Nick Khan is said to be in talks with New Japan Pro Wrestling about an exclusive partnership. And what it would pretty much entail is that WWE superstars would be able to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and have matches there. I have mixed feelings about this. Like, you would think on paper it would be huge. I mean, you got New Japan Pro Wrestling, you got WWE. I could see how this could be huge for both sides. You get an even bigger overseas presence for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And you get some pretty notable dream matchups, if you think about it. I mean, shoot, we could get Roman Reigns versus Okada. We could get, Daniel Bryan versus Will Osprey. That is if Daniel Bryan returns. I think they were still possibly in talks of renewing his contract, but nothing set in stone. I mean, there's a lot of different matchups you could get. I mean, think of the women. Well, I was going to say the women's division, but I don't know if that would really include Stardom, even though Stardom is owned by Bushiroad, which also owns New Japan Pro Wrestling. So probably the women would be out of the picture, perhaps. But I mean, you'd have many different dream matchups you could think of. Randy Orton versus Hiroki Goto, or shoot, whatever you could think of. I would love to see like a John Morrison versus El Desperado sort of thing. I mean, you could think of so many dream scenario matchups. Like the possibilities are endless. My main issue is what kind of changes could possibly happen with the booking, because the booking still, I feel, would be in question. Are we going to get a lot of the same matchups over and over, even with the partnership? I mean, that's another thing. Because you look at the main roster for WWE, the booking's trash, especially Raw. And Raw has been hitting a new low each week in ratings. It's honestly, that's a big thing that they really are going to have to address, because if Raw doesn't start to get better ratings, USA is going to be like, screw this, we out. Because even though NXT is the better show, it can't save it. It can't save it. So they're going to have to get together and figure something out to get those ratings back up, because if not, I would not be surprised if USA dropped Raw. And it might even affect NXT as well. So, but yeah, looking at the history though, I mean, New Japan Pro Wrestling has had partnerships with ROH. They definitely have a sort of a partnership with AEW and Impact Wrestling. Of course, they've had the Impact Wrestling tag team titles on Finjuice for a short while. Let's see. Satoshi Kojima made his appearance on Impact Wrestling. Let's see. You had the IWGP United States Championship defended on AEW with Yuji Nagata recently. You've had Rocky Romero on AEW Dark. I believe it was Dark. Or it might have been Dark Elevation. So you've seen a couple of things there. Kenta has been on AEW. So I mean, there's been little things that have happened there. And of course, recently Tony Khan took a shot at WWE, just kind of bragging about these things. So which I thought was pretty funny. But it sounds like, according to this article, it sounds like the idea would be that the WWE superstars would have the opportunity to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and compete there. So there hasn't been any updates or anything like that on this, but WWE being the exclusive American partner with the promotion, I don't see this happening. I really don't. I really don't. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I'm not that intrigued by it. Also, it has been announced that already they've got a new candidate for the Raw commentator position. Which, okay, before I get into this, they apparently released Tom Phillips. I don't know why the heck they released Tom Phillips. I honestly thought he was doing a good job. That shocked me. That shocked me. And it's like, dang, got rid of Samoa Joe, got rid of Tom Phillips. I mean, Adnan Virk, I mean, my main thing with him is I just didn't feel like WWE was a good home for him. And who knows, maybe he'll be able to go back into, sports commentator. sports commentating, but we'll see. He just wasn't a fit for Raw. So the new guy that they got is Jimmy Smith. So he was an analyst for NXT. He's hosted some takeover pre-show panels. He's also the host of Sirius XM's Unlocking the Cage, and was the host of American Ninja Warrior on G4. So that's a little splash of Jimmy Smith's resume. So he's gonna start this coming Monday, May 31st, my birthday, and he's gonna be joined with Corey Graves and Byron Saxton. Now, according to, I just recently saw BC Amplified's most recent podcast, and word is Jimmy Smith did an interview, and apparently he said that he has not watched pro wrestling since he was in grade school. Now, if he hasn't watched pro wrestling since grade school, like, why would you really consider him as a candidate for this play-by-play on Raw? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I would think you would want to get somebody that's knowledgeable about the product and knowledgeable about, the wrestlers. They've done their homework, to be able to give good play-by-play. And this guy, this Jimmy Smith, doesn't seem like he would be able to. I mean, I know he's done some takeover pre-show stuff, so I mean, he probably has easy access, but that's not a good look. That's not a good look. So, I don't know what they were thinking when they picked this guy, but I mean, for his sake, I hope he works out. I hope he works out. I mean, I guess you never know, but just, I don't know. Hearing that just makes me kind of wonder, well, why did they consider him then? That's all I'm saying. I mean, maybe he could do some other stuff, with WWE, but just play by play, like, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see how he does this Monday. He'll get his shot this Monday. Michael Cole and Pat McAfee have been doing pretty good on SmackDown, so maybe this Jimmy Smith can help. But we'll see. Okay, on that note, since we're on the WWE train, Raw. Raw was pretty much a repeat show. I feel like the only good thing that happened with Raw, we got to see Nikki Cross in action. I think that's the one thing I would say was good about Raw, is Nikki Cross got back in the ring and wrestled. It's good. It was good to see her. She looks like she slimmed down some. She looks great. Not saying that she didn't before, but she definitely has slimmed down some. But we had a match between Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston that came to a no contest because Lashley interfered. You have the decision made that next Monday we're going to have Kofi Kingston and Drew McIntyre again, and the winner would go on to face Bobby Lashley at Hell in a Cell. And I just have a bad feeling that this is going to turn into another triple threat. Because one way or another, they supposedly gotta keep Drew McIntyre in the title picture some way, somehow. So it wouldn't surprise me if this ended up blowing up again and turning into another triple threat. But yeah. So Nikki Cross, as I said, wrestled in a beat the clock challenge against Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley had to beat her in 2 minutes, was not able to beat her in 2 minutes, and apparently we got to see the biggest celebration from Nikki Cross ever with that victory over Rhea Ripley. Really? You bring back Nikki Cross in the ring, finally. And this is the best way that she can get a victory? Like, really? I mean, I would have understood if she didn't end up winning, but still had a good match. But really? And Nikki Cross is a good wrestler. Like, this is what y'all are doing with her? 2-minute beat the clock challenges? Really? We're talking about the same Nikki Cross. That's a 2-time WWE Women's Tag Team Champion. We're talking about the same Nikki Cross that was in the first ever Last Woman Standing match against Asuka back in NXT. And this is what y'all are doing? Really? Yeah. Moving on, Charlotte beat Asuka, which leads to Charlotte getting the title shot versus Rhea Ripley at Hell in a Cell. Weird, because the previous week Asuka won, and now Charlotte won. I mean, I guess they're not going to have a rubber match. But whatever. Rhea versus Charlotte at Hell in a Cell. We had the run back between Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. Only this time, Cedric Alexander won. Cut a nice little taunting promo before the match. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, this time Cedric Alexander got the victory. Did a little poke in the eye, which led to the neuralizer. We had Riddle versus Xavier Woods, and Riddle actually won with an RKO. He actually hit a RKO on Xavier Woods. This was probably the best match of the night, if you ask me. But yeah, hit him with an RKO, got the victory. Jackson Riker got a victory over AJ Styles, which of course Elias interfered. But Sheamus went up and defeated Humberto Carrillo. Not surprised. But Carrillo and Ricochet got the last laugh. And the main event was Natalya and Tamina defending the WWE Tag Team titles against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Of course, Reginald tried to help out. He gets sent to the back. And as he makes his way up the ramp, boom, fire pyro. He gets burned again, supposedly. That was enough of a distraction. Baszler ate the roll-up. And still tag team champions, Natalya and Tamina. Shayna got so mad, picked up Reginald, and challenged him to a match for this coming Monday. Shayna Baszler versus Reginald. Yeah. But yeah, this was the Raw main event. But like I said, Raw keeps hitting a new low in ratings. So unless they fix that, USA is going to be like, bye-bye. At least that's what I think will happen. We had NXT. NXT was pretty good. So started off with a tag team match, the ladies in action. We had Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon taking on NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. And if I remember correctly, the winner of this match would be number one contenders to the NXT Women's Tag titles, currently held by The Ways, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell. This was a good match. I was definitely digging this. But Shotzi and Ember hit pretty much a Thunder Express, pretty much one of the double team moves that the Motor City Machine Guns use, in order to pick up the win. They hit the Thunder Express on Dakota Kai and got the win. And then, of course, Shotzi got destroyed by Raquel. And they even made Ember watch. But Shotzi got destroyed by Raquel Gonzalez afterwards. That was crazy. Pete Dunne went up against Bobby Fish. So Bobby Fish made his in-ring return. And this was a really good match that I enjoyed. It was back and forth, decent length. But ultimately, even though Fish looked like he had some opportunities to get the upset, he ate a bitter end. And Pete Dunne was able to get the victory. Kind of a bummer since Bobby Fish just returned to the ring and he had to eat a loss, but they got to continue to keep Pete Dunne strong and in the title picture. So I was bummed, but understandable. Had Mercedes Martinez in action, went up against and defeated Zeta Ramir. Glad to see they're showing her more as well. But the weird thing happened after this match. The lights went out. We saw a glimpse of Mei Ying of Tiansha. And Mercedes' hand was marked. That same black marking that I guess Xia Li put on, I think it was Casey Catanzaro. It was either her or Caden Carter, one of those two. But some sort of black mark. So, potentially setting up a match between Xia Li and Mercedes Martinez. Kind of interesting, because these are two heels. These are two heels, so weird. Really weird. But hey, I'm for it. So we had the face-off, the $1 million face-off between Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase. Of course, this ended up leading to the appearance of LA Knight. And it looks like LA Knight got endorsed by the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and pretty much dropped Cameron Grimes right there in the ring. So, it looks like Cameron Grimes is a face now, perhaps? Because, LA Knight debuted as a heel, and he's been a heel since. So, it sounds like Cameron Grimes may have just turned face in the midst of this. And, I gotta root him on. That's my Carolina caveman. He's another North Carolinian, just like me. So, I have to see what happens, but I'm cool with Cameron Grimes as a face. Most definitely. Next up, we had, I'm not going to say this name. I don't care what y'all say. I'm not going to say this name. We had Taya Valkyrie made her debut in NXT against Cora Jade. Of course, it just shows what she's capable of. She pretty much had her way with Cora Jade and ended up defeating her with a glam slam. So, dang, she's using that. Jade Cargill on AEW is using that, although she calls it Jaded. But it's like, dang, everybody's using the glam slam. What the heck? What's up with that? But I still feel like Taya Valkyrie and Io Shirai are going to feud at some point, and I think that will potentially be Io Shirai's last big feud before going to the main roster. But we'll see. That's my prediction. And then we had the main event. Finn Balor, Karrion Kross 2, NXT Championship on the line. And this was back and forth, very much hard hitting. Finn Balor gave him everything. But fortunately, after wearing and tearing down the Prince, Karrion Kross was able to lock in the cross jacket, and pretty much Finn Balor passed out. And your winner, still NXT champion Karrion Kross. And also, word is that in an interview, Finn Balor wants to go back to the main roster. Now, my thing is, will things be any different with him going back to the main roster? Because, aside from becoming the first ever Universal Champion and being an Intercontinental Champion, he hasn't really done a whole lot on the main roster, success-wise. So, he does go back to the main roster. I hope it ends up working in his favor. I really do, because I feel like he's mainly, unless something changed, he's mainly gonna be known in WWE for his work in NXT and for when he uses the demon persona. So, but pretty decent NXT. Taya Valkyrie made her debut. Cameron Grimes turned face. Bobby Fish made his in-ring return. So I was digging it. I was definitely digging it. NXT UK. This was definitely a great match. Great batch of matches. So we had Nathan Frazier going up against Shaw Samuels, and I'm starting to like Nathan Frazier quite a bit with the high flying, some strong style with that. Definitely liking Nathan Frazier. Hit a really gorgeous frog splash and was able to get the victory over Shaw Samuels, even despite the attempts of Noam Dar interfering. You had Tillman back in action, going up against Ashton Smith, which he did get the victory with the crossface and then put it back on him, and then until Oliver Carter showed up and saved Ashton Smith. And Tillman just kept bragging about, hey, that is not family. That is not family. So, looks like we got a rivalry, potentially, here. And something tells me Oliver Carter is going to get his shot at Tillman. But we'll see. Kenny Williams returned to action. Went up against Andy Wild. And he shaved. Sporting a clean shaved look. Looks really different now. Looks very different. But he got himself a victory over Andy Wild. And then the main event, you had a back and forth, hard-hitting match. Trent Seven against Sam Gradwell. And I tell you, this one thing I really like about Trent Seven is the resiliency. Dude has mad resiliency. And it definitely showed in this match. But a burning hammer for all ages put Sam Gradwell away. and secured the victory. So another big win for Trent Seven. And to be honest, it would not surprise me if eventually we saw Trent Seven versus Tyler Bate Heritage Cup on the line. I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at it. But, you know, they got to keep their relationship strong. I mean, they're Mustache Mountain. But it wouldn't surprise me if at some point that happened. But we'll see. We will see. Okay, SmackDown. SmackDown was it was all right. I mean, we got to see the Usos team up. You know, something that hasn't happened in a long time. What, about a year and a half or so since the Usos teamed up? But they teamed up and got the job done, defeating the Street Profits. And didn't really see a lot of double team action from the Usos, but they did what they had to do to get the job done. And because of that, looks like they are getting a tag title shot next week against the Mysterios. So, looking forward to that. But keep your eyes out on Jey Uso. He's still kind of iffy based on what Roman Reigns has been saying. Still very possible that Jey could turn on Jimmy. It would suck, but it looks like it's coming. It looks like it's coming. But Jey has a choice to make. We'll see what happens. Had Natalya and Tamina going up against the Riot Squad, which it was good to see the Riot Squad in action. I feel like it's been a while since they wrestled in a tag match. I know Ruby Riott not too long ago had a singles match against Shayna Baszler, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it was good to see the Riot Squad back in action. And of course, Natalya and Tamina did get the victory. We also saw Bianca Belair and Carmella in action. Of course, Miss Ding Dong Hello Bayley was around for that. But Bianca Belair was able to take care of business and get the victory over Carmella with her tanned looking self. But she's back to using the money ring gear, so no more of that red gear, I guess. Seth Rollins with another outlandish, looked like Hawaiian tropical suit, came out and was talking about Cesaro, cut a promo and such, blaming the fans and blaming Cesaro. So that rivalry definitely isn't over. So I expect when Cesaro returns, he's going to be gunning for Seth Rollins. You had Kevin Owens and Intercontinental Champion Apollo Crews in action. And while it looked like Kevin Owens was about to get the victory after hitting a stunner on Apollo Crews, Commander Aziz was able to blast KO with a Nigerian nail, aka Samoan Spike. Ended in a disqualification. And Kevin Owens, you know, had a hard time speaking, was coughing a whole bunch. But he wants another shot at Apollo Crews, but this time no Commander Aziz at ringside. So one-on-one, pure one-on-one match. So it looks like that's going to be on the way. You had Shinsuke Nakamura go up against Chad Gable. Pretty decent match. I wish this could have been longer. I like the clash of styles in this one. But Shinsuke was able to get the victory. And of course, Rick Boggs, I think, of course, played his theme. King Corbin got his crown back for a short bit and was about to walk away with it, but Rick Boggs attacked him from behind and was able to get the crown back for Shinsuke, who put it on his head and played his theme on the way out. So Shinsuke Nakamura still in possession of the crown of King Corbin. And then we had the main event. SmackDown tag team titles on the line as Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio, even though Rey was taken out, against the Dirty Dogs. So this kind of started off as a handicap match. But, Dominic Mysterio was like, hey, you did this for me, Father. I'm going to go do this for you. So this pretty much was a handicap match. And Dominic had, some spare opportunities of offense, but he mostly just got dogged like crazy this entire match. But Rey Mysterio's theme hit, and it caused enough of a distraction for Dominic to roll up Robert Roode and get the pin. So, there you go. Mysterio's still your tag team champions. And afterwards, we had a face-off where the Usos came into the ring, which Jey Uso looked like he was kind of into it, but not really. Came in, and they had a nice little face-off before the end of the show. So, the Mysterios versus the Usos. Looking forward to that. Hopefully they get plenty of time in that match, and it's a good match, regardless of the outcome. But yeah, that is WWE. So we're going to finish up with AEW and also going to preview the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. So, Dynamite, which was on Friday instead of Wednesday, which apparently is going to be on Friday again next week. I'm guessing that's because of the NBA playoffs or maybe the NHL playoffs. I don't know. Opened up with Darby Allin versus Cesar Benoni. Of course, Darby was able to get the victory after the coffin drop. And called out Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. And, looks like they were getting ready to take out Sting and Darby Allin. But Dark Order came out with the save. And, I just don't like them as a tag team. I really don't. I don't like them as a tag team. So, we can look forward to that at Double or Nothing. That was made for Double or Nothing, which I'll get into. We had an official weigh-in hosted by Paul White for Anthony Ogogo and Cody Rhodes. I mean, nothing really crazy happened. Cody weighed in at 218. Anthony Ogogo weighed in at 219. So 1 pound difference. Both families were there. The Factory, the Nightmare family, the Nightmare Factory. Everybody was there. So yeah, nothing crazy really went down during this segment. Just the weigh-in, and that was pretty much it. We had a brawl backstage with Powerhouse Hobbs and Christian Cage. It was back and forth until Christian got a spear. That one's for you, Edge. And then they announced the competitors for the Casino Battle Royale that'll be at Double or Nothing, which will be Powerhouse Hobbs, Jungle Boy, Preston Vance, Matt Hardy, QT Marshall, Penta El Cierro Miedo, Christian Cage, Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., Stu Grayson, Nick Camarado, Lee Johnson, Dustin Rhodes, Anthony Bowens, Max Caster, Isaiah Cassidy, Mark Gwynn, Matt Sydal, Evil Uno, Colt Cabana, and a mystery entrant. Now, there are some folks that were kind of speculating maybe Paul White might be that mystery entrant, but I doubt it. I don't think so. But we'll see. We'll see. You had a good match between Hangman Adam Page and the bad boy Joey Janela. This was actually a really good match. Hangman Page got busted open a little bit from the head, but was able to hit Joey Janela with a buckshot and get the victory. And of course, afterwards, we had a moment in the ring with Brian Cage and Adam Page. And Adam Page was really just mentioning, hey, y'all seem to always have the upper hand when Team Taz is around. So when we have our match at Double or Nothing, let it be one-on-one. Just me and you. Just me and you. So it looks like we're gonna get that, and Team Taz is gonna be in the back. Hopefully, that's the idea. But had a backstage promo with Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley, which at first it cut to commercial, and then when they came back, they replayed it. And it was actually early in the day, but I thought that was pretty bad that they played it the first time and then it cut to commercial right as it was starting, and then they had to go back and play it again when they got back from commercial. That was pretty bad. Yeah, Tony Schiavone in the ring was gonna bring out Orange Cassidy. Pac came out and pretty much was talking smack. Don Callis came out. Omega tried to get a cheap shot by hitting Pac with a title belt. Didn't happen. Pac had his moments, but the Lucha Brothers, the Good Brothers came out, and it was pretty much 3-on-1. And then the Lucha Brothers came out to even the odds, but Omega was getting ready to hit Pac with the One-Wing Angel when Orange Cassidy's music hit, and him and the Best Friends came out. Orange Cassidy gave Kenny Omega the envelope, the last envelope that he got from Omega and Callis, which supposedly was a contract to pretty much Orange Cassidy backs out of the triple threat and he would get a future one-on-one match with Omega. Gave him the envelope, and inside was a shredded contract. He hits Omega with one orange punch. Then he turns around and hits Pac with an orange punch, and ended up holding the World Championship and giving a little thumbs up. I thought that was pretty cool. So great, strong message there from Orange Cassidy, standing tall, holding the AEW World Championship. Jade Cargill had an open challenge. Kylan King accepted it, but she ended up beating Kylan King. Still undefeated. Blah, blah, blah. Don't like Jade Cargill. Dante Martin, one half of Top Flight, had a TNT title shot against Miro, which I will say, I'm glad that they let Dante get in his high-flying offense, but the way he looked when Miro slapped in the game over, he was bending him like a like a rope. Like his back was all arched and everything. It looked sick. It looked really sick. Then, of course, Jake the Snake and Lance Archer came out. And it looks like they were going to brawl for a bit, but the referees came in and had to separate the men. So we're going to have to wait for the full effect when they go one-on-one for the TNT title at Double or Nothing. Hikarushida, the AEW Women's World Champion, longest reigning champion in AEW history, held the title for 377 days and came out with a beautiful, beautiful red flower dress, all dolled up, looking great. So she came out. They were going to honor her with a celebration for her 1 year of being champion. And they presented her with a brand new AEW Women's World Championship title belt with diamonds, and it's actually a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger. Tony Schiavone tried to put it around her waist, but it wasn't tight enough, so Bryce Remsburg had to tighten the belt on her. But thankfully, they made the belt bigger. The belt is a little bit bigger because that was a small belt. Shita said some words, pretty much was happy to be back with the fans. Like I said, this was a full capacity show with fans. And Britt Baker came out, interrupted, came out, pretty much gave a really nice last promo, ended with a DMD. But that's what we can look forward to. Britt Baker, Ikarushida for the women's title. There is also something I wanted to add before I continued on. This was pretty messed up. But apparently, the Spanish commentating team, can't get my words out, the Spanish commentary team apparently was making fun of Hikaru accent. A couple of friends linked me to the video. There was a video on Reddit with that audio, and apparently it was Willie Urbana that was mocking Shita in Spanish. And apparently Thunder Rosa called him out on it and was like, that's mean, she speaks English. But yeah, he was straight up mocking Shita's accent. And I just heard that recently, I think earlier today, a friend was telling me that AEW had fired Willie Urbina. So, and that's good. That's good because that was messed up. What he did, that was messed up. That was royally messed up. So I'm glad that they took care of that. But you just don't do that. You don't do that. We had Dark Order's Evil Uno and Stu Grayson go up against Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. And I really liked the offense from both teams on this, especially the Dark Order. But while Stu Grayson was trapped in the heel hook, Ethan Page hit Evil Uno with the Ego's Edge and got the victory. Darby Allin then came out with an army of Stingers, and of course one of them was revealed to be the real Sting, and they were able to get the upper hand on Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky until they retreated. So that was pretty neat. It was like 8 or 9 Stingers, and then one of them was the real one. I think it was about 8 or 9. It was probably a little less, but yeah. And then to top things off, you had the celebration of the Inner Circle. Everybody came out. Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, Santana Ortiz. Everybody was there. Everybody came out. And it was hosted by Eric Bischoff. And they had a nice little video package showing some of their best moments, which was really cool. Everybody got on the mic, and before you know it, enter the Pinnacle, who were transmitting from the stadium, and on the field, MJF had Dean Malenko up against the field goal post, tied up. He was knocked out and whatnot. So the Inner Circle raced out to the stadium only to get ambushed by the rest of the Pinnacle. And it went all the way to the stadium. And it got to the point where everybody received pile drivers. FTR gave pile drivers through tables. The other members gave pile drivers onto chairs. And at the end of this, the Pinnacle, standing tall, pile driver city inside the Jacksonville Stadium. So that was a nice little preview, nice little short preview of Stadium Stampede. So good show, definitely a good show for AEW Dynamite. Go home into Double or Nothing. Now we go into Double or Nothing, the big pay-per-view this Sunday. There's going to be a buy-in that starts at 7:30. The buy-in will be Serena Deeb defending the NWA Women's World Championship against Riho. Now remember, Riho knocked out Serena Deeb in the AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator tournament. So this is the run back. This is the run back. And it's been a while since Riho has wrestled on AEW. I think Serena Deeb will retain. I think she'll win the run back with Riho. As much as I would love Riho to win, I don't think it's gonna happen. So I'm picking Serena Deeb to win that match, to win the buy-in. And then the main card. This is a very exciting main card. I'm looking forward to the show. Like I said, I enjoyed last year's Double or Nothing. That was excellent. So we know we got the AEW World Tag Team titles on the line as the Young Bucks will defend against Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. I'm kind of torn up between these two. I want the Young Bucks to win, but it wouldn't surprise me if Mox and Kingston won. It's hard. It's hard for me to pick. I'm going to stay neutral on this one. We got Sting and Darby Allin going up against Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page. Being that this is a pay-per-view, I think Darby Allin and Sting are probably going to win and give Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page their first loss as a tag team. Only because it's a pay-per-view. But I could be wrong. We have Miro defending the AEW TNT Championship against the Murder Hawk Monster Lance Archer. I think Miro will still. I don't know how he'll retain, but something tells me he will retain. I don't know how that will look, but something tells me Miro will retain. I mean, he just got the title, so I think he'll most likely retain. We got Hangman Adam Page going up against the Machine Brian Cage, and I think this is where Adam Page will get revenge and get that one-on-one victory over Brian Cage. I think he gets the victory. We have the Casino Battle Royale, which the winner of this match will get a future AEW World Championship match. Let me go over the competitors again. We have Christian Cage, Matt Sydal, Powerhouse Hobbs, Penta El Zero Miedo, Jungle Boy, Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, Mark Quinn, Evil Uno, Colt Cabana, Preston Vance, Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, QT Marshall, Nick Camarado, Dustin Rhodes, Lee Johnson, and a mystery opponent. So I have no idea who that mystery opponent could be. Like I mentioned before, some folks were thinking that it may be Paul White. I doubt it, but we'll see what happens. I think it'll be a big surprise. I think it'll definitely be a big surprise. Last year, it was Matt Sydal, so I think we'll get a big surprise. Who will win it? I have no idea. I'm gonna keep an open mind. We got Cody Rhodes going up against Anthony Ogogo. This is probably the match that I'm really not looking that forward to be honest with y'all. I'm not really looking that forward to this match. So I'm going to stay neutral. Because I really could care less about this match. We have Hikarushida defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Hikarushida, you had an excellent run, soon to be 379 days, but I think this is where Britt Baker finally gets her big moment and dethrones Hikarushida and wins the AEW Women's World Championship. And she'll be only the fourth woman to hold that title. Remember, first it was Riho, then it was Nyla Rose, now it's Hikarushida. But I do wonder how she's going to beat her. Because I'm sure there's going to be interference. I don't see Shita tapping out to Lockjaw. I just don't see that happening. But I'm very curious to see how Britt Baker will get this victory. But I think this is where she'll finally become champion. Because like I said, Shita has had an incredible run. And she's had excellent defenses. But I think this is Britt Baker's time. So Dr. Britt Baker, I believe, will win this. We have the AEW World Championship triple threat. Kenny Omega defends against Orange Cassidy and Pac. I do believe Kenny Omega will retain, but it should be a great match. Should be a very, very great match. Looking forward to it. And then we have the Stadium Stampede match. It's the Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle. If the Inner Circle loses, they must disband forever. I don't believe that will happen. I believe the Inner Circle wins this Stadium Stampede match. And of course, it's funny because they were in last year's Stadium Stampede match against the Elite, which of course they lost to the Elite. But I think they win this one. I definitely think they win this one. And the Inner Circle stay alive. But this is your AEW Double or Nothing card, and it's a great one. Like I said, the only one that I'm not really interested in is Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Ogogo. I could care less about that match. But the rest of the card looks solid. But that's it. That's it for this week's Pro Wrestling Talk. Like I said, this weekend is going to be heavy AEW, and I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good pay-per-view. And of course, I'll do a video after Double or Nothing, giving my thoughts on the show. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you don't miss any video. Thank you so much for watching. This is Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram signing off. Hope everybody has a blessed weekend, and I will see y'all soon. Peace.